Hello, everybody, and welcome to another look at the week ahead through Vedic astrology for the week beginning the 2nd of May 2016, taking you all the way up to and through the 8th of May 2016. Didn't think I was going to say 2017, did you? Let's talk today about how we are all so inquisitive. It's like that age-old saying, you remember, curiosity killed the cat, right? Well, sometimes it's good to be inquisitive. Sometimes it's good to search. Sometimes it's good to seek. But sometimes it's not so good to search. Sometimes it's not so good to seek. Sometimes we question too much. We question to our own demise and don't want to accept something that's plain, obvious, and right in front of our face. And sometimes painstakingly right in front of our face, right? Like right at present, yeah. And something that's kind of staring you in the face. And it's not pleasant. It's me. No, I'm only kidding, right? I'm talking about a process that you're going through. I'm talking about something that you're dealing with. And it's not so good, and part of you doesn't really want to accept it. But I can tell you right now, the sooner you do accept it, the better off you're going to be. And that's really part of the difficulty, is acceptance. But you've got some time. You've got the capacity to do it. You just don't want to, right? And what is part of that you don't want to? Well, let's talk about the other energy that's really prevalent this week. And that is called good old-fashioned lack of motivation, which in astrological terms is translating to good old-fashioned retrograde Mars that's just kind of sitting there really slowly, not doing anything other than forcing you to take a look inside at a bunch of crap that you don't even really want to take a look at, right? Let's face it. Let's be honest. Let's be blunt, right? And also, in addition to that, we don't just have Mars retrograde, right? Now we've got 4 planets that are retrograde. We've got Mars retrograde, right? Making you like really kind of internalize a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of motivation. Well, it's turning it in on yourself. And we've got Saturn, good old retrograde, lead weight Saturn, hanging around your neck and making you go, ooh, right? He's doing that. But what's he doing also? He's making you become really disciplined. But become really disciplined in a manner that you don't really necessarily want to become, because he's right there with Mars. Both of those planets, and I know we've been talking about this off and on for the last few weeks, but some people join us late, so let's kind of refresh this. So you've got Saturn in Jyeshta Nakshatra, and you've now got Mars in Anuradha Nakshatra. Jyeshta Nakshatra is very good, and sometimes in a manner that we don't want it to be that good, but making you take a look at something and seeing the overall spectrum of something, seeing it from a wider perspective, and helping you to realize that in order to rise above a particular situation, that you're going to have to summon some strength, and also probably summon a sense of restraint. Okay. And we've got Mars in Anuradha Nakshatra, which interestingly enough is ruled by Saturn. One of the things that Anuradha is really all about, if you kind of want to encapsulate it in one word, is it forces us to have the right relationship to something. And that is definitely the case in this particular instance. And with Mars being in Anuradha Nakshatra, well, it's got you fluctuating a little bit, going through a process, really kind of changing your view on something until you become firm. And once you become firm with that one concept, you become devoted. But the problem is, at the moment, that one concept that you're being forced to take a look at is something that you don't really want to take a look at. And that's the hard bit. Where is that coming from? Well, we haven't finished our retrograde planets. Yeah, I kind of interrupted myself. So we've also got Jupiter retrograde. And Jupiter's retrograde because Jupiter is the planet of expansion. He's going to make you expand inside of yourself. He's going to make you look for an understanding. And we've also got a retrograde Mercury, the planet that everybody loves to curse when it's retrograde. Well, you know what? It's good when Mercury is retrograde. You can't be always, externally active, making things work in the external world. You've got to be reflective sometimes. You've got to take a look. You've got to really try to understand. And the thing is, Mercury, as it's retrograde, is transiting this week through Kritika Nakshatra. And Kritika Nakshatra gives the power to burn, equally the power to purify. Because of the position of the sun, you're likely being forced to take a look at some things, like I said, that you don't really want to take a look at. That sun, which is the dispositor in one sense of Mercury, because Mercury is in Kritika Nakshatra, which is ruled by the sun. That sun is in Bharani Nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus. Okay, so at the beginning of the week, Bharani, what it does is it makes you recognize that in order for something new to come into being, that you've got to go through, well, for lack of a better way to put it, the birthing pains, right? And so right now you're kind of facing that difficulty. And you're facing that difficulty, which means that there's something that you don't want to do, right? And that's because the sun and Venus are both in positions this week where they're not really that supportive of their nakshatras. Until the end of the week with Venus, Venus makes a shift. Venus becomes stronger and more productive. And at that time, he's going to put you in a position where you, or I should say, she's going to put you in a position. I get in the habit of calling all the planets a he, right? Especially when they're being difficult, right? So Venus is going to she's going to put you in a position where you're going to be able to act. You're going to feel willing to take a look, where the process that you're going through over the course of the whole week, that's really just kind of making you feel like, you know what, if I had my druthers, I'd much rather not do this, right? I'd rather not do this. I'd rather just, do something else or find another solution. So then we come back to that inquisitiveness. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to be looking or trying to find another solution. You're going to be thinking, there has to be another way. There has to be a better way. And I've got a really strong burning desire to find that other way, right? But really, that's not going to help you. You might find all sorts of other ways, but they're not going to be the other way that you really need. The way that you really need is right there, staring you in the face. You just have not come to terms with it. You have not gotten into a position where you're able to see how something seemingly bad is actually something that's very good. Now, the planet this week that has the strongest aspects to it is Saturn, right? Saturn has a lot of planets forming very powerful, strong aspects to it. So Saturn's a very focal point this week. So restrain yourself. That's what Jyeshta is about. Jyeshta is associated with Indra. Indra was able to attain his position as king of the gods by undergoing severe penances, right? And from doing so, he was given something called Sudarshana Chakra, which in pictures of Indra, same as in pictures of Vishnu, you see a Sudarshana Chakra, a little disc spinning on the finger, right? What does that do? Well, it's a spiritual weapon. And what is that spiritual weapon going to do? It's going to help you to cut through the BS, right? Whether you want to use that weapon because you recognize using that weapon on one level requires a certain amount of pain. It requires a certain level of difficulty. And it requires a certain level of restraint. But the thing that you see clearly It's not going to go away. It might change form, though. That's up to you. How is that up to you? It depends upon how you see it, right? And that's what you need to reflect on this week, how you're seeing something. We don't like pain, understandably so. So obviously we're going to question when there's pain in front of us. But you know what? That pain is necessary to give birth to something new. And I'm not talking about something horrendous in your life, and I'm not meaning to sound like some negative gloom and doom guy sitting here on the other end of the camera telling you how much your life is going to suck this week, because that's not where I'm coming from. It's only going to suck if you don't do what's necessary to make the change. And that's the exact thing that you need to do. You need to go through the process. You need to take the steps that maybe you're not really wanting to take, and restrain yourself from doing something stupid, which is taking those steps that you really kind of feel like you want to take, right? Unless you have previously gone through the process of recognizing that something that you don't want to do is actually something that you do want to do, because it's going to be better for you. So just a reminder about my astrological services. If you click the link below, that will take you to my astrological services page, where you can schedule an astrological service with yours truly. That's going to do it for a look at the week ahead through Vedic astrology for the week beginning the 2nd of May, 2016. Until next time, take very good care of yourself. Bye now.